Feel free to continue eating if you're still doing so, but we are going to go ahead and start the program portion of today's activity. The first thing I would like to do today is to welcome Dr. Robert Vartabedian, and he's going to give you an opening address.
Well, belated welcome to our campus. Great to have you here. We are absolutely honored to be hosting this event for the Teacher of the Year Luncheon. We have 15 honorees here today, along with various administrators, family members, friends. I can only imagine the hundreds, perhaps even thousands of lives that these great teachers have positively influenced over the years. And I've said this before, and I certainly started my career as a public school teacher in California, 45 years ago or so. I believe there is absolutely no higher calling than to be a great teacher, and we certainly have some great teachers here today. So congratulations, and thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you.
Again, we'd like to thank Missouri Western for hosting us. I have a few introductions to make today, so if I call your name, if you would please stand and be recognized. First, some legislators that are in the room. Jay Eggleston, Representative Eggleston. Representative Alan Andrews. We have several sponsors that were able to join us and some that weren't. One of our sponsors was North Central Missouri College, Dr. Lenny Claver and Dr. Kirsten Allity, but unfortunately neither one could join us today. We do have Missouri State Teachers Association representatives here with us, Amy Anderson and Mindy Walker. LJ Hart is another sponsor, and Dr. Bruce Johnson was unable to attend. Thomas McGee, Sharon Erlenbaugh, are you with us today? Thank you. NEA is represented today by Eric Simmons. Northwest Missouri State University, Dr. Tim Wall, and Dr. Linda Gray Smith. Linda, did she leave? Okay. Missouri Western State University, obviously you've already heard from Dr. Vartabedian, the president. Dr. Jean Daffrin, Dr. Kathleen O'Connor, Dr. Gordon Mapley, Dr. Dan Shepard, and Dr. Melody Smith. We have two representatives from DESE, our area supervisor Nancy Greeley and Linda Dooling from the Office of Quality Educators. Our Missouri Association of School Administrators is represented today by Mike Lodewagen. He was here earlier and gave our program, but he must have slipped out. MSBA, Missouri School Boards Association, Debbie Livingston. And we have several elementary and middle school and high school principals with us today. If you could kind of wave if you're representing that group. And teachers in general. We have several teachers and a few of those that are particularly being nominated. One special teacher that we have here today was our last year's Missouri State Teacher of the Year. Darby Valenti, who's a teacher at Minnie Klein Elementary in Savannah R3, was kind of our inaugural winner for our process that we went through here in the Northwest region. And then also we were fortunate enough to have her recognized on the state level. So we're very proud of Darby and what she's done. She was selected as the 2017 Missouri Teacher of the Year. She represents Savannah R3 and teaches 5th grade math and science at Minnie Klein. In her first year at the district, she was selected as the Savannah R3 Teacher of the Year. She's also been recognized as the KQ2 Apple Market Teacher Who Makes a Difference. As a past star teacher for the state of Missouri, Darby continues sharing professionally, leading many teacher trainings, as well as serving as an adjunct professor at Northwest Missouri State University, where she did receive her BS in elementary education. Darby has dedicated her life to the profession that helped her shape and determine her own life path. Having overcome abuse, neglect, and poverty as a child, she's now helping other children in Missouri do the same. Darby is very grateful for the platform that she's been given as Missouri Teacher of the Year, so that she could be a voice for those children whose voice cannot yet be heard. And with that, I will turn the program over to State Teacher of the Year for 2016-17, Darby Valente.
I'm sure you'd rather hear a little bit more music than me, maybe, but we'll go ahead and move on. I am Darby Valente, the 2017 Missouri Teacher of the Year. I represent the Savannah R3 School District, even though they may not want to claim me right now. I teach at Minnie Klein. I am a part-time 5th grade math and science teacher, part-time astronaut, or at least that's what I tell the people at Walmart when I'm shopping for groceries in my flight suit. And as you can tell, obviously I went to Space Camp this summer, left quite the impression on me. So today I just want to share with you some of my takeaways from there. And so as I was at Space Camp, I just realized there were so many things about being an astronaut that are parallel to what we do in the classroom every day. So I just want to start off with this quote by John F. Kennedy. He says, "We choose to go to the moon and do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard." And I think that's why a lot of us in the room chose education. We knew it was going to be a hard career, but yet we still do it anyway. So we know that teaching is hard, and like one of my favorites said, Todd Whitaker says, "The best thing about teaching is that it matters. The hardest thing about being a teacher is that it matters every day." And we have to be on for our kids every moment of every day. And we have to be our very best because that's what they deserve. So that is one of the hardest parts about teaching. And the thing is, most of us chose this career to make a difference, and we know that we matter. But I just want to steal words from our beautiful regional teacher of the year, Stacia, when she says, "You matter," and the work that you do does matter. Here you see me at Space Camp. I'm in a mission there. Our mission was to leave Earth, go into orbit. We were going to take 2 astronauts to the International Space Station, drop them off, grab 2 more astronauts, return them safely. All right, so I was in mission control. I was Capcom, and Capcom is in charge of all communications, from mission control to flight crew to the crew at the International Space Station. And as they were training us, they didn't train us like what the little gibberish things said in the scripts that we were supposed to be following. They just told me the most important thing that you can do is stay calm. So even in moments of chaos, we need you to stay calm, because if there's stress in your voice, that's going to carry over to the crew. And most of you may probably have not seen me in a moment of crisis, but not one of my strengths, staying calm in moments like that. One moment we had anomalies pop up, and everybody in mission control were total rock stars. We figured out how to solve those. We communicated to the crew. They got most of them fixed except for one. As we were coming back, they couldn't get the payload doors closed. So the anomaly kept popping up. We kept figuring out how we needed to fix it, instructing them on how they needed to do it, but it would pop up again. Finally, upon re-entry, we knew we had to get those doors closed or else we weren't going to be able to land. Now, if it had just been a Sunday, we could have just like strolled around out in space, but we obviously had to get back and we had things to do. So I had to calmly get on there and say, "Capcom to flight crew, we really need to get those doors closed," even though what was going on in mission control was total chaos at that moment. So that's when I hear someone in the background say, "Well, tell her I've closed them 4 times. And that's where I just had to gently remind him that I could hear everything that he was saying. And the irony behind that is that the person that growled that at me is usually just has the calmest, sweetest demeanor of probably any man I know. And so that stress had definitely gotten to him. But we got the doors closed like 2 seconds before landing, and we landed safely. So it was just kind of a lesson on how important it is to stay calm. And this is a quote from the Russian cosmonaut. He was the very first one to go on a manned space mission into space. I cannot imagine all the unknowns in that situation and how stressful of a situation that must have been. Ground control messages him, or asks him how he's feeling, and this is what he says: "I feel fine. How about you?" So, just can't believe that he could stay that calm. I will tell you this: my flight crew did not ask me how I was doing. So, the same thing happens in the classroom. Every day, we have to stay calm. So when little people are overwhelmed with big emotions, it's our job to stay calm and not join their chaos, because a lot of times we are the only constant in their life, and we need to make sure that we are staying calm for them. Even when things seem to be upside down, or even when they're spinning out of control. You can definitely tell I was calm there, right? This right here is perhaps the fakest smile I've ever had on my face. I was so excited to find out that I was going to go to space camp until I found out that there was a simulated helicopter drowning. That didn't sound like anything I wanted to be a part of. But I knew that I had the option to opt out of anything I didn't want to take part in, but I really wanted to prove to myself that I could do this. But the more I thought about being in a helicopter, being dropped in a lake, trying to survive, I just didn't feel like that was for me. Then this spring, I met a teacher, a Missouri teacher who teaches in Clinton. She said that she was going to be working at space camp, and she assured me that I would have a great time. And when I told her I was a little concerned about this, she said, "Don't worry, if I'm working, I won't let you die." And I know that was supposed to bring me some sort of comfort, but all I kept thinking is, what if she has the day off? Is somebody gonna let me die? But we had an amazing crew trainer, and he did not let me die. Here's our helicopter after it crashed into the lake. We were swimming to safety. Here you can see that we made it safely. And perhaps my favorite moment of that is right here. You see, not only am I representing my Savannah Savages with my beach towel there, but I'm standing in line to do it a second time. So if you would have asked me that earlier that morning if I was even going to do it once, I still wasn't sure. But to get to stand in line and do that a second time and move out of my comfort zone was one of my favorite moments about space camp. And it really made me think of the quote from Sally Ride. And she says, "All adventures, especially into new territory, are scary." So we have to be willing to leave our comfort zone. And so I encourage you to do one thing every day that scares you. And that's something that I've really had to embrace this year. I've become very comfortable with being uncomfortable. So speaking with politicians and doing things like that, I've definitely had to move out of my comfort zone. But I think that wearing a flight suit for a speech, I can maybe check that off the list for today. So I think I'm good for today. But if we think back to when we were little kids and we had our shoes and they started to become a little too tight, they were uncomfortable, but that was a sign of growth. Some of us still experience now with pants, different things like that, but that was showing that we were growing. Another quote from John F. Kennedy said, "The United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them. This country was conquered by those who move forward, and so will space." And it just goes to show that outside our comfort zone, that is where the growth happens. So as teachers, unless we try to do something beyond what we've already mastered, we're never going to grow. And that, I'm sure, is why several of the teachers that are being honored here today have made it into this room. They're very innovative, they're very future-forward thinking, and they have moved beyond what they've already mastered so that they could grow. One of our American female astronauts said, "What everyone in the astronaut corps shares in common is not gender or ethnic background, but motivation, perseverance, and desire. The desire to participate in voyage and discovery." And I feel like we do this every day in our schools. We all work together towards that common goal to make ourselves better, because we know that the most valuable resource that teachers have is each other. So without collaboration, our growth is limited to our own perspective. And so we have to be team-focused, And here I get to introduce you to my fabulous team from Space Camp. We were Team Harmony. We even had a symbol, as you can see in that top picture up there. Other teams had a symbol for us, but I won't reenact that. In the bottom left corner, you can even see our symbol as the National Teacher of the Year and I worked to create and design a badge for our flight suits, so we're gonna get those in a couple of weeks, so that is the actual badge that we created. You can see different things that we did, but we always had to be team focused. And one of the moments at Space Camp that I love the most is the picture in the bottom middle. You can see that we just broke out randomly into this conga line of shoulder rubs. We were outside. Do you remember that really super hot week in July? That's when I was in Alabama wearing a flight suit in the Alabama heat and humidity. And we were all out there and we were all miserable and I don't know what started it, but at that moment, our whole team just stood in a line and gave each other a shoulder rub. So just kind of knowing that there was someone there that literally had your back, that's what we need in our schools as well. It said, what was most significant about the lunar voyage was not that men set foot on the moon, but they set eye on the earth. And so, as we were working together in our teams, we must remember our focus. And it says, great teachers focus not on compliance, but on connections and relationships. And I think that's what all great teachers do. They focus on the student and building that relationship with them and that connection with them. And I can speak to several people, teachers being recognized today, that I know that that is something that they do and something they do well. This says, if we are to send people, it must be for very good reason and with a realistic understanding that almost certainly we will lose lives. Astronauts and cosmonauts have always understood this. Nevertheless, there never has been or will be a shortage of volunteers. And this basically comes back to our why. Teaching, we know it's an intense and challenging endeavor, but it's also one of the most rewarding experiences that we could ever have. This one is one of my favorites. It says, anyone who sits on top of the largest hydrogen oxygen fueled system in the world, knowing they're going to light the bottom and doesn't get a little worried, does not truly understand the situation. But these astronauts know exactly their impact and understand the influence, just like we understand our impact in the classroom. We understand that we might be that most stable adult that most children have in their lives. We know by setting those strict boundaries and high expectations that that's going to have a positive impact on our kids. But we also know the opposite's true. We also know that we can have a negative impact on them if we're not giving our kids our best and how we can just be the deciding factor in its child's year. So much like the lighting of that rocket, we understand how serious of a situation it is to be a teacher. This quote here says, "For when I look at the moon, I do not see a hostile, empty world. I see the radiant body where man has taken his first steps into a frontier that will never end." And some people look at the moon and see just that. And others see exactly what David Scott saw. And it all boils down to our perspective. So in my world, there are no bad kids, just impressionable, conflicted young people wrestling with emotions and impulses, trying to communicate their feelings and needs the only way they know how. I remember I was perceived as a bad kid when I was younger, but really, I was just wrestling with different emotions and conflicts that were going on in my life. And our kids are doing the same thing. They're bringing things to school that even we as adults wouldn't know how to handle. So we just need to make sure that we are keeping our perspective on the kids and what it is that they might be wrestling with. One of my favorite moments at Space Camp was when we got to hear astronaut Mr. Bob Springer, and he talked to an auditorium full of people, and then after it was done, we were very fortunate to where he came and spoke to only about the 50 of us. And during that time, my good friend Casey Bethel from Georgia asked a question, and he said, "You've had an experience that so few have had. How has it influenced your worldview?" And Bob Springer's response was, "When you're up there in orbit, looking down at the planet, you lose all concept of country and race and language. And instead, you realize we're all human beings, all earthlings. At that moment, the things we squabble over, the things that we let divide us, seem so trivial. Rather, the things that make us alike are far more important than the things which make us different. I just wish more people saw the world that way. And I cannot tell you how many times our group of State Teachers of the Year have come back to this quote since then, because it was shortly after we went to Space Camp that we came back and the events at Charlottesville happened. And then now the events of the past few weeks. And this is one quote that just keeps popping up, and it just seems to sum up everything. I asked Bob Springer a question. Mine was not as deep and profound as Casey's question was. But the whole time we were there, they just kept focusing on keeping the dream alive. And their dream at NASA is to land on Mars. And they have a timeline for that. They're hoping about mid-2030s, maybe even 2040. So as we're discussing this, I'm sitting there doing the math, carrying the one, bringing it down. I realized these people that are going to be landing on Mars are in the education system today. So I asked him what we needed to be doing as educators to make sure that we're doing the best to prepare them for that. And his response was much like John Glenn's response. He said the most important thing we can do is inspire young minds and to advance the kind of science, math, and technology education that will help youngsters take us to the next phase of space travel. And I really feel like we're already doing that. We are already focusing on STEM. We're already focusing on those 4 C's. And so I feel like the things that we are doing in education right now is going to be helping keep that dream alive. And this is just a little bragging moment. I am official. I have my diploma. And with my diploma, I also earned a special badge. And this is the Commander's Cup. So I told you Team Harmony was an awesome team. We graduated Space Camp with honors. So we got the coveted Commander's Cup badge. However, I almost feel a little guilty holding this, and I would like to share with you why. The main deciding factor in us winning this was how we performed in STEM challenges. So you can see here, we're making a solar panel, and then here we had to land an astronaut on Mars, and then the rover had to then be able to take the astronaut safely onto the surface of Mars. This is very similar to a STEM project that I did last year in class with my 5th graders. So when it came to take time to see who was going to be the director and take the lead, I gladly volunteered. Some of you that know me well know that I don't mind bossing others around, so it was... So as I was doing this, I was thinking back to one of the most successful designs that was in my classroom last year when we did this similar challenge. And we didn't have the supplies to pull that one off. So I thought, well, okay, so what was another design that maybe wasn't the best, but it was successful? And that is the one that we recreated. We not only won, but we almost doubled the score of the next team. Like, that is just, I mean, Team Harmony we know is awesome, but really, it was my students that won us that mission. So when I am with the State Teachers of the Year, they are 50 of the brightest, most intelligent people that I'm fortunate enough to know. But I take great pride in knowing my 5th graders outperformed them on a STEM project. So the work that we're doing, even though my students may not be getting 100%, even close to that, on a science map test, they are doing the things that really matter. And so they're thinking critically, they're being problem solvers, and it's just, that was such an amazing takeaway for me, and I just almost feel a little guilty that I get to wear this badge when it really belongs to my students. So that has me more inspired than ever this year. And Buzz Aldrin says, exploration is wired into our brains. If we can see the horizon, we want to know what's beyond that. So what we need to do is we need to ignite curiosity in our students. And you don't have to be a STEM teacher or math or science teacher to be able to do that. We can do that no matter what kind of teacher we are. So learning ignites curiosity we never even knew we had. So that's what we need to be doing with our students today. And it says if you are going to make progress in aviation and aerospace, you've got to take some risk and be willing to accept it. There were a lot of things going up and coming down we didn't know, but we learned when we flew. So we need to encourage that risk-taking with our students. But for our students to be able to do that and take risks, they need to see us doing that. And for teachers to be able to take risk, they need to see school leaders doing the same thing. So we want to ignite that curiosity, we want to encourage risk-taking, and we definitely want to foster a fail-forward mentality. Because Wernher von Braun, who's like the father of aerospace, says it takes 65,000 errors before you're qualified to make a rocket. And just like in our classroom, we say failure is success if you learn from it. And actually the assignment that I just assigned to my kids right before I left to come here, I wanted them to make 6 mistakes on their homework before they got the right one. And the kids cannot believe that I want them to make mistakes. But we have to have that fail-forward mentality. So, your mission, if you choose to accept it, I want you to move out of your comfort zone and go new places. You don't have to go to the moon, but I want you to go new places. I want you to reach new heights and prepare for your students to soar to infinity and beyond.
You know, I thought it was awesome last year, the first year that we had a Regional Teacher of the Year process in the state, that Northwest pulled it off. I know you celebrate with me the wonderful way that we've been represented this year. I have a little something for you. My first teacher was my grandmother. She was a one-room schoolhouse teacher. I have her bell. So it's one of my special tokens that I like to give teachers when they soar, to remind them that they're part of the journey for everybody, is a bell. So Darby, here's a bell. I had my act together. I would have brought this with me when I came last time, wouldn't I? At this time, we're going to recognize those individuals who were nominated to be representatives for the Northwest region in our Regional Teacher of the Year competition this year. As I call your name, I would ask that you come forward, join me up here, and Becky is also going to join us up here, and she'll be giving you a certificate. We are going to also be taking your picture, and we have a special request that you actually pause and pose for the picture rather than scoot right off the stage. So without further ado, would you like the certificates? We will first recognize Emily Davis. Emily Davis represents the North Andrews School District. Emily currently teaches 3rd grade and is a Teacher Academy graduate. She has done significant work in curriculum development, which has contributed to a positive school culture through her collaborative efforts. Her greatest accomplishment, however, has had nothing to do with academics, but with teaching a child what it meant to be accepted. What is most important to her as an educator is not whether students leave with an A on the report card, but they leave her classroom feeling a deep sense of belonging. Again, congratulations, Emily Davis. Thank you. Nikki Honan. Nikki is an agriculture education instructor. Nikki Honan is also the West Nottoway R1 district nominee. Nikki is involved in many professional learning opportunities, including Teacher Academy, curriculum for agriculture science education, and was recently selected to attend and participate in the National Agri-Science Teacher Ambassador Academy. As an ambassador, Nikki will represent ag teachers at national conferences sharing science-based activities for the agricultural classroom. Nikki's passion and involvement in education drives her to develop opportunities for students to become problem solvers, to prepare them for college and career readiness. Congratulations, Nikki. Haley Hill. Haley Hill represents the Albany R3 School District as a middle school English language arts teacher. Haley states that building positive, supporting relationships is the best thing she can do for the students and the teaching profession. As such, she greets her 62 students every day to build each student's belief that they are someone who matters, not only in the classroom, but in the world. Haley has instituted Fresh Friday in her classroom to encourage students to invest extra effort in themselves. This model has now extended beyond her classroom and across the school. She believes that this initiative connects to a student's feelings of self-worth. Congratulations, Haley. Trudy Kinman. Trudy Kinman was chosen as Maryville R2's Teacher of the Year nominee in her 46th year in education. As a language arts and communication arts teacher, she inspires her students to effectively communicate, to share their talents and their thoughts. Trudy's passion in teaching is showing her students how to become leaders by involving them in volunteer efforts that include hosting, leading, and evaluating speech and debate tournaments. One of her greatest contributions includes teaching students to be objective and to see that there are two sides to every issue. Congratulations, Trudy. Shelley Albright. As a nominee of the Mid-Buchanan District, Shelley Albright teaches science and English language arts at the 6th grade level. Shelley continues to grow professionally by participating in Teacher Academy and other professional learning initiatives. Shelley believes in the power of helping her students love learning and igniting their passion to learn more. She loves seeing that aha moment when the learning clicks. Shelley designs projects that spark students' collaboration and challenges them to go beyond their comfort level in a safe setting. She has seen confidence increase as a result of these activities. Congratulations, Shelley. Heather McCoy. Representing the Craig R3 School District as a nominee, Heather McCoy currently teaches English language arts at the 7th through 12th grade levels. As the oldest of 20 children, Heather had the opportunity to start grandchildren. Oh. As the oldest of 20 grandchildren, Heather had the opportunity to start teaching early. Heather believes the teacher and student must gain each other's respect to build a level of trust. She helps develop this bond through the literature she chooses for her classes. Based on her experiences teaching in England, Heather values the importance of teaching students to think rather than to just do. Congratulations, Heather. Terry Matthews. Terry Matthews is the Buchanan County R4 nominee, where she teaches 3rd grade. As a past graduate of Teacher Academy, Terry continues to grow professionally to build on her engagement and instructional strategies for her students. Her love of teaching is evident in all who have the opportunity to work with Terry. Her colleagues cite her professional and positive attitude, as well as her dedication to education. As one teaching partner stated, she is a true educator. Congratulations. Stacy Meyer. Stacy teaches kindergarten through 12th grade art classes in the North Nottoway R6 district, where she was selected as the nominee. Through the teaching of art education, Stacy provides a variety of experiences and opportunities for her students. When her students realize their abilities as they practice their new skills, she sees them light up from the inside. To her, this is the true meaning and the impact of education. Congratulations, Stacy. Blake Duran. Blake Duran is the Cameron R1 nominee, where he has taught 6th through 12th grade instrumental music for 11 years. Blake attained his National Board certification in 2014, which was a significant personal and professional goal. Blake believes music is the vehicle that helps students discover the best version of themselves. This is evidenced by his students' accomplishments in achieving multiple awards for the past 10 years at the State Band Festival, marching band competitions, and most recently receiving first place for jazz band and indoor drumline. As Blake states, music education changes lives. Congratulations, Blake. Wendy Azell. Representing the South Holt R1 district as nominee is Wendy Azell. She serves as the 5th grade and 6th grade communication arts educator, as well as teaching 6th grade science. Wendy is a past graduate of Teacher Academy and has served as an immense teacher in her district. She has incorporated technology into her daily curriculum and shares her expertise with colleagues. Peers cite Wendy's positivity and comment on her dedication to her students. As one stated, not only does Wendy care about her students' academics, but she truly cares about each one of them. Congratulations, Wendy. Cody Proctor. Cody Proctor is a Savannah R3 nominee, where he has taught debate, competitive drama, literature, and composition at the high school level. Is that all? Out of his 4 years as a teacher, he has successfully prepared and trained state and national qualifiers in speech and debate. His first 3 years as a coach. This past year, one of his students placed first at the state level and received second place at nationals. Cody believes that education is the way to challenge and inspire students to find their own talents in and out of the classroom. Congratulations, Cody. This year, the Northwest Regional Teacher of the Year is Stacia Studer. Stacia. Stacia represents the St. Joseph School District. She teaches 8th grade English Language Arts at Bodie Middle School. Stacia believes in giving back to the community that has given her so much. She believes that the power of hope can be transformative. This is evident in her extensive volunteer work in the community. And by extending the walls of her classroom into that same community, she helps pass this giving of hope on to her students. Stacia connects students to different volunteer efforts, such as Patriots providing a helping hand throughout the school year. She extends this community spirit into her classroom as well by establishing the dining room table. The dining room table where students gather as a family for discussions around literature and other relevant topics. Stacia's goal is to prepare each student to fulfill their own aspirations in life by asking them, what problem do you want to solve in the world? And how can you use your gifts to solve it? But even more, Stacia believes in each teacher, that they bring gifts to share with their students. As Stacia stated, every day I witness a quality culture where teachers work as a team to educate each child for success. It is easy to forget great teachers are the heart of our schools, interacting with our children every single day. She further states, teachers must tell each other, you matter. Teachers matter more to students' achievement than any other aspect, and our voices need to be included when making decisions, advocating for our students and teachers. Teaching is complex, but it is the most rewarding job in the world. I want teachers to know they matter. And Stacia. I want to thank you for representing the Great Northwest and being our Regional Teacher of the Year. In addition to this humble bell from me, she gets a check for $250.
Thank you so much. It really, truly, just is an honor when I'm listening to all this great work that's happening in the classrooms in the Northwest part of our state. It's just truly, truly an honor, and I'm so humbled, so humbled, very humbled to be the Northwest Regional Teacher of the Year. I do want to thank the Northwest RPDC. They have been gems. They invested in me throughout the summer. And they really had me think about my craft of teaching and be reflective on my work with students. I especially want to thank Patty, because Patty is just a true gem. So Patty, thank you so much for your time and investment in me. It's paying off in the classroom currently right now, so thank you. I do want to thank my principal, Mrs. Diaz. Her vision and leadership in our community, not just in Bodie Middle School, but in our community in the St. Joseph School District, has stabilized us. And she is what makes Bodie a great place to learn. for students and teachers and for parents. And so Bodie is just rock star. If you would walk through our hallways, you would see absolute great teaching taking place currently right now. Ms. Diaz places students and teachers around me and others that challenge us to grow in our craft of teaching. And St. Joseph is so blessed, in this Northwest region is so blessed to have her. I also want to thank Ms. Wing. Ms. Wing is an advocate for our students, and she challenges me every day to think about the student first. And I so love you, Ms. Wing, and I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you, Dr. Newhart, too, for your mentorship through this process. You really have stabilized the St. Joseph School District, and I appreciate your work. As a citizen of this community, I could never repay you. Your hard work for our schools and our teachers and your leadership, it's just, I've just reflected on that, and I appreciate the role model that you have set for me. I know and I firmly believe that giving back to this community that has given so much to me, and St. Joseph is my heart and my home. My parents were hard workers, and they expected excellence, but they couldn't do it by themselves. And so they surrounded great people around me, and that included teachers and coaches. That included other inspiring mentors. These individuals really took the time to understand my story, and they held me to the same high standards that my parents would have expected from me. They planted the seeds of hope, and they opened my eyes to exciting opportunities. It was Miss Bachman, who was a teacher at Lafayette, that took me on my first tour here at Missouri Western. My parents didn't have any concept, really, of what a college education brought. They knew they wanted to send me to college, but they were very young when they had me. And so Miss Bachman said, Stacia, I would like you to go take this French placement test. So she brought me to Western, and that was my first college visit ever. I identify with the students in my classroom here in St. Joseph because many of these students, I face the same things, and I've made it my life's mission to help break these chains of poverty. Education, and I feel so important about the power of literacy, it will accomplish the task, and I will continue to join forces who advocate for social and economic reforms. The educators here in St. Joseph School District are irreplaceables, and they're highly effective at the craft of teaching. And I see many of the leaders that shaped me as a young teacher in this room today. Dr. Segrist is here, Dr. Stagel is here, Dr. Smith is here. All of these people came into my life at the right time. And I'm blessed that God put them in my life. Without them, I wouldn't be the teacher I am today, and I have been surrounded by the best. Their impact on my work has changed the lives of many children, and I'm forever indebted to them. They will always be the irreplaceables to me. I want to thank, and I could not complete my life calling without the support of teachers and coaches that support my own kids. I have a 12-year-old at home, and I have a 9-year-old at home that I sometimes get to see. But they are the words of the wiser for my kids. And when I'm not with them, just like my parents did, they're the ones that are inspiring them to great heights. Because we all know how kids are. They don't listen to their parents anyway. And I also want to thank my husband. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but he's off fulfilling his calling. He works at Beringer, and he helps me reflect and prays with me every single night. And he provides me the strength to continue each and every day to work with our students. Thank you guys very much.
One last time, I'd like all the teachers that we are recognizing today to please stand so we can honor you with one last round of applause. I want to thank our sponsors who helped us put this banquet on today, Missouri Western for hosting, districts for being here as well, and the teachers. We don't take time very often to celebrate the good things going on in education. So I truly thank you for taking the time to be here today to honor these teachers and to honor the work that educators are doing every day to make this a better world. So we're going to end with the final clip. It's called The World Without Teachers.
That's what you're gonna ask her too?
That's a hard question.
A world without teachers.
What would the world be like without teachers?
Chaos.
Sad, because I won't learn anything.
The younger generation wouldn't have anyone to look up to learn from.
Walk around ignorant.
I mean, we could keep the teachers, but just no homework. That'd be pretty cool.
Everybody would be going cuckoo and we wouldn't know anything.
I think that is the scariest thought that anyone could ever have. I think it will be craziness just because I feel like teachers are, besides our parents, the first people we meet who like shape who we become.
I haven't always been like the best student throughout my whole life.
I was always in trouble.
I had suffered 3 Fs, and I realized like, oh, whoa, I need to fix that, you know?
4th grade was over. I'm here 5th grade, we graduate, 6th grade. Hey, Miss Gonzalez, how you doing? And then she's like, oh yeah, I heard these are your grades. What's going on in that science class? Like, she was like totally just keeping up. And I just felt like, whoa, like something's different about that.
Gave me the time of day, mostly. It was very, he was very engaged in stuff that I was doing. Even though I was in detention, I was still learning.
And she was the one teacher who really saw a lot in me to make me feel like I wasn't the kid that other teachers were saying.
And there was a point where I said, okay, I'm gonna fail my French class because I haven't been there, so I haven't done any homework. I'm just gonna drop out before I fail. And then she specifically came to me and said, no, I'm gonna work out a deal with you so that if you stay, you won't fail.
If we didn't do good at school, she would chew you out, but she would always give you a chance to make it up. You know what I mean? She would never put you low standard and just leave you there. You know, and that's one thing I like about teachers. You know, they won't leave you behind.
You know, and when I got accepted into colleges, the first thing I thought is like, I better go. And I better go and tell her. I'm gonna be like, guess what? I got into Penn State, I got into a UC, I got into all these colleges.
Actually inspired me to pursue political science.
She's basically the one that taught me to just keep trying.
I can accomplish more than I probably think I can. I felt it, like she didn't have to do that, but it made the difference.
You see, I'm getting emotional, because like, she's great, you know? Give me a minute. I wouldn't be here without her, you know? And I'd like to thank her so much for that. Thanks, Mr. Victor, you know? Hope you see this, and I hope you know that you mean a lot to me, you know, you're really important. And yeah.
What was your teacher's name again?
Mr. Marable.
It's Mr. Elmore.
Shout out, Mr. Bennerton.
Miss Harris.
Her name was Casey Crocker.
She just exhibited like such a raw passion for teaching. It made me want to teach. Like, I want to do that for people. Like, that's a beautiful thing. So yeah.